Hey everyone, KoBaC here. I want to talk about the Lorcana Worlds, results of that, and get into the DLC announcements for Season 2. Worlds was interesting. I watched the majority of it, hung out in one of my friend's servers. He's another content creator, and you just spent time with his community and kind of just watching and just talking about things. And I think the sealed event portion wasn't my favorite. And I felt bad for the players overall because, these are guys who've all worked really hard and probably have been practicing like crazy, prepping themselves for Worlds. And then if you just get bad packs, it just really sabotages everything that you've been practicing for, because you can't plan for what is in the boosters. You can try to memorize as much of like, this is what I would go for, this is what I hope to pull, this is what I would do if I get this, but you still are restricted by those cards. And yeah, it was only 3 rounds. But if you have to win 5 in order to move up, and then you still have to go by the best score that you have in order to qualify for day 2, where it's only being the top 8, it just kind of sucks to do all of that, to work so hard, to win a DLC, to win or whatever, to finally qualify, and then to get knocked out because your packs were just booty. The 3 deck format I thought was interesting to watch. I liked it better at the end where they had to play with they had to win with all 3 in order to win. I don't, banning one of the decks is interesting. It'll be fun to see if this kind of continues in a different format going forward, or a different kind of rollout in terms of like, is this going to be a thing going forward or not? Obviously, it eats into tournament time because, you have to give time for your opponent to look at the deck list, decide which deck they want, to take out of yours, then which one they're going to play from what they have left for theirs. So it adds time overall. It's exciting to watch in terms of a championship because there's more time, right? But if this was something in a local scene, it would just add weight to the entire process. Seeing DKP win, especially in that last matchup, was remarkable. Obviously, both him and Ed and everyone at Worlds are really good players. Just to see DKP be able to survive the misplay that everyone saw with the fire of the cannons and then be able to still win overall, wow, right? And it shows that even if you, as a player, you can still make mistakes and you don't have to beat yourself up too bad, because even the best of the best still make mistakes, are still trying to improve, are still trying to have just a better play process for themselves, right? So that's just good news for the rest of us in a way. Now, for the DLC news, it has ruffled, I would say, a whole lot of, just feathers. And a lot of people are upset. I am not thrilled, but I am trying to be, I don't know what the right word is. It's not mature or understanding, just trying to keep it in scope. I did not play in any of the DLCs last season. I wanted to, I wasn't able to go to any of them. This season, I'm planning to try to go to all of the US ones that I can. Right now, there are 3, not counting the championship, but there are 3 announced, and I want to try to go to all 3 if I can. That being said, I'm not thrilled with where they are located. There are none on the West Coast, which ends up working better for me as someone in Florida. I'm on the East Coast, so the flights will be a little bit on the easier side. But for the West Coast players, there's nothing. Even on the East Coast, they're all in the North. There's none, in the South at all, which is wild to me that California and Florida yet again have no DLCs. I would not count Worlds in case anybody tries to say that, because nobody else was allowed to go. So with them being at Disney World means nothing to everybody else. It literally could have been in any studio anywhere, right, in the world, and it would have changed nothing. I think you have a situation where a lot of people are upset because there definitely are less events overall in some of the regions that already had them before. What I think people are overlooking is that the number of total invites, as can be shown here, has not increased. So overall, if you add up all of the invites that are going to be across the world, it's 27. If DKP receives an automatic invitation because he won the previous Worlds, he would be the 28th player. So that would put us back at 28 players, just like we just had at Worlds. So while we have had a decrease, like in the US, right, in North America, we've had a decrease in the number of DLCs, the total invites across the world has not decreased at all. I think that this is a big mistake from Ravensburger by not increasing the number of invites. I know it's very easy for me here in Florida to just say, hey, we should add more in North America and Europe and other places in the world. And because I have no skin in the game in terms of coordinating those events, staffing them, getting everything that goes on behind the scenes. It's easy for me here to just say that. But as a player and looking at the community, I can see a lot of people are upset and disappointed that we waited so long for new DLCs. And then those of us who have already been playing the longest, right? Not necessarily meaning from September of when the game launched, but in terms of we've been playing through the previous DLC season, are now having less events to go to. Now, you might allow more players to go, but we don't know one way or the other yet the capacity of these events, so these venues. There might be more people allowed to play, but you still have the same number of invites. Why is it that Worlds isn't going to 56 players? It would easily double it. It would allow for a lot more events across the world. It would give lots more opportunity because now we can put those locations in different regions and different locations so that more people that might be locked out of it financially are now able to go. I don't know if at the end of the day there's any sort of easy answer for anything to do with this. I think it's going to be, no matter what Ravensburger does at this point, it's probably just going to irritate people because we waited so long. They told us to be patient, basically. And then when they announced things, those of us in North America and Europe were just like, wait, well, why? I mean, Australia still is only getting one event. They get one invite. It's just, it's bad. It's going to make a lot of people upset. Now, I think a different route that they could go. Most people are not probably thinking that they have what it takes to qualify not only to win a DLC, but then to actually compete on the world stage at a World's Championship, right? Most players would probably be able to say, look, I want to play. Maybe I do good locally. I might do good at set champs, but I'm not interested in going pro about this, right? Why is it that there aren't yet any other types of events announced that are official events? There should be fan events. There should be these other alternate venues, these other alternate experiences to play. But why is the official events not including another tier? Like it's below the championships, the DLCs, so that the challenges, so that people are able to go. A bunch of other players are there. They're able to win prizes that you can't get anywhere else, or maybe at least at that level, right? Because if they did 20 of those events around the world, yeah, you could get those promos only at those events. I don't understand why that hasn't been approached yet, other than you could say, well, Ravensburger's still kind of getting their feet under them so that they can kind of take this off and do all this. And yes and no. Like, why is it taking so long? Why is there no transparency of what's being planned, when this is going to be? And people will say, well, they're announcing these things. Yes, but the game's already coming out on being 2 years old and there's still nothing else added. So for people who are upset, what do you say to them? Just be patient? That doesn't make them feel any better, right? Well, just try to go to the DLCs. Well, if you live in California and you're trying to fly out to Milwaukee, that's not exactly a short thing to do, right? I don't think at the end of the day there's anything that's going to make everybody happy, and I don't think that should be the goal. I think, though, that if you added another tier, another type of event, and it could still be a big tournament, but it's mostly focused on having side events. It's mostly focused on just a celebration of the players, because most people, again, I don't think would say that they might want to try, but they don't really think that they're going to be pro at this game. And that's not their intention. So why is the focus so much on the pro aspect of it? I am somebody who would like to. I would love to actually be able to not only qualify to be able to win a DLC, but then to go to Worlds and rank very high. That would be awesome, right? Super awesome. And I know that it would require a lot of work, a lot of practice, and everything to be able to do that. That would be something super cool. But how many other people are out there thinking the same way as me? Percentage-wise of the player base, how many actually think that? Probably not that many. So why is so much focus being on the competitive scene and not just on events in general? Yes, there should be DLCs. Yes, a world championship is awesome, but there should be something else added. I think that would go a long way to making people feel a lot better about things, because some of these people, they're like, I don't even want to compete. I just want to go to a DLC so I can go to the side events. And now by still picking locations where it's really difficult and prohibitive, like there's none in Canada. So if you're a Canadian and wanted to go to one of these events, maybe you don't have a passport or something, you have to now go get a passport in order to travel internationally. Yes, it's from Canada to the US, but you still have to cross a border in order to be able to do that. The same with like Mexico. I don't understand. And that's that. There are tons of other nations that are being excluded. And we can't necessarily do events in every single nation. But this doesn't feel well thought out. So I'm hoping that Ravensburger will respond pretty quickly to this, help cool the waters, because we are still waiting to go through the journey of rotation. And you know, everyone right now, a lot of people are just saying, just be patient, just be positive that Ravensburger's got a plan. But this is another instance where they may have a plan. They may be totally in control. It doesn't feel like that yet for the players. And at the end of the day, if enough players feel like that there isn't a good, strong grip on the progress and the future of the game, they'll leave. And then those of us who are trying to stay hopeful won't really have a game left to play, because if the game's not supported, it won't last. So we need a cohesion of Ravensburger's listening to the community and the players giving them the time to figure that out. And we've given them time, at least for the DLC part. We have given them time. And now this is what we got. And it doesn't feel like enough. And like, so now we're dealing with the rotation news and the DLC news. There's just a lot of negativity that's constantly being in the community. And there's only so much of that before people just are like, look, I'll go find another group, another player base, another whatever. And I can say that, you know, some of the stores that I play at, their communities are not growing right now. And that is a concern. And that is something that needs to be rejuvenated. This is not going to do that, this news. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Are you hopeful for this? Are you positive? Or are you think, you know, I'm hoping Ravensburger has a plan, but this isn't feeling great right now. So anyway, thank you guys, and I'll talk to you guys again in the next video.